Hi friends, welcome to the first video of Django. In this video, our focus will be what is Django and how does Django work. Okay, to start off with, what is Django? First of all, Django is a web application framework that is developed in Python. The beauty is it is free and open source, so we don't have to buy any license for this. It is a free and open source web development framework that is available for us. Now, what kind of websites can we develop? We can develop almost all kinds of websites. Could be a social media website, a e-commerce website, or a blogging website. We can almost cover up almost all types of websites over here. The best part of this, there are certain components that are internally developed in Django in form of apps. These apps will allow you to reduce your development time and the tasks that you are doing. For example, if you observe over here, we have written about user authentication. So Auth app is an app that is developed in Django, which handles the job of user roles, users and their roles, wherein we can register a user, we can go ahead, log in, log out. All those aspects are being handled by Auth app. So you just simply have to utilize those classes, call them, and you're good to go. So this is all about Django. Moving ahead, we are going to understand what softwares are we going to utilize in this complete tutorial. First, as we said that Django is developed in Python, so the baseline of coding is going to be Python. So if you really do not know what is Python, it's going to be super difficult for you to cover up on Django. So you need to focus, learn Python, and then come back to this tutorial. Apart from that, we are going to utilize HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Why are we going to utilize this? Reason, we are working on web development. So web development is based on GUI, which is available on the internet. So for that purpose, we are going to utilize HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Moving ahead, the latest trend that is going on in market is Bootstrap. The beauty of Bootstrap that it is going to be on similar lines to CSS, but the best part is it makes your website device independent, meaning the same website without distorting the CSS will be available for visualization on a LCD device, could be on a laptop, a tablet or a mobile. The CSS does not get distorted, it remains, so it is device portable. Next, we move ahead to Django. This is our main component that we are going to study. We are going to understand the complete framework of Django, what are the inbuilt components and how can we reutilize them for our development. Moving ahead, we are going to understand how Django works. So Django works on MVC pattern. What is MVC? MVC is nothing but model view controller. Now when we talk about MVC, the idea is let's separate each and every layer into different parts so that handling and development becomes more easier. Okay, so let's understand each component one by one. We talk about controller. So the controller is the coordinator. That means when the browser receives a request, okay, so the controller is the first person to receive the request from the browser. Now this controller is going to coordinate from the incoming request to the processing and sending the response, meaning the controller is going to go ahead, watch out whether a view is required or a model is required. Whatever is required as per the request, that will be taken care by the controller. So the controller in short is nothing but a coordinator. Now we will talk about views. So the view is nothing but the front end, the GUI, the graphical user interface that will be available to the end user on the browser. So all your HTML, JavaScript, CSS, Bootstrap that is visually available on a web page is nothing but a view. Coming to the layer that is model. Now model consists of two major things. First, it is going to contain the hardcore business logic. Second, it is going to be a layer that is going to act as a connector between the database and the software or the website. So what is part of the database layer? So database layers are nothing but classes, that is or indirectly called as model, and these classes are going to have class members. These class members are nothing but columns of a table. So this is how my model is going to work. So if you understand this, the browser's request is being given to the controller. The controller checks whether that request needs only a GUI. It will go to the view, get back the information and give it back to the browser. If the controller understands that there is something related to the database that needs to be handled, it will be picking up from the model, bringing it back, picking up the required view and then bringing up back the view and sending back to the browser. This is how the whole MVC pattern works. Moving ahead, what we are going to understand now is what is the MVC pattern scope in Django. What basically I mean by this is the terminologies that are available in Django are a bit different than the original MVC. Okay, so the original MVC says model, view, controller. So in Django, M is same, that is model, but V, that is the view, becomes the template over here. Templates are nothing but HTML pages, the GUI, the front end. Controller, that's nothing but the coordinator over here became my view. So the terminology is just changing, rest everything remains the same. So it is called as MTV pattern, but the whole ideology that is being utilized is MVC. Okay, now let's move ahead to Django architecture. Django architecture comprises of two major components. One is your client side and two is your server side. Now what basically is the client side? Client side is those components that are available for the end user on the browser. So what that would be? That would be nothing but Django templates, the HTML pages, the GUI, all that is the front end portion will be available through Django templates on the client side. When we talk about the server side, we have two things available. One is your Django framework and two is the database. Now let's focus on database. When we talk about database, Django supports almost all different types of database while we are making a website. So Django allows you by default to work with SQLite, but if you make certain modifications, it will allow you to work with SQL Server, Oracle, MySQL, PostgreSQL, etc. Okay, so moving next from database to Django framework. Now if you'll observe in this diagram, the database is directly communicating to your model. The model is nothing but your data layer plus your business logic layer. So in turn, the model is going to communicate to two things. One is your view logic and second is the app logic. So the view logic is the complete coordination job that the view would be doing, and what is part of the app logic? The app logic is going to contain different submodules. What I mean by submodules is, when we develop a website, we have many subparts to take care of. So what Django suggests you to do is, instead of putting everything under one head, break it into small pieces and create app. For example, we are developing a e-commerce website. When we are developing a e-commerce website, the first thing that we would require in a e-commerce website is a product, right? Without a product, e-commerce website cannot be created. What would I sell? So the products, now when I'm dealing with products, I need to perform the complete CRUD operation, that is insert, update, delete and view. So what I would end up doing is, I would add everything related to product into a product app. In similar fashion, we end up adding each product into a cart, right? So now what we would do is creation of the cart, addition of values into the cart, deletion of the cart, all sort of those things will be added into a cart app. So what we are basically doing in the app logic is dividing small acts, small steps into different applications instead of one single application. So this was all about Django architecture. Friends, we are going to stop over here. If you did not understand some concept, kindly rewind or post it on the comments. We will surely get back to you. If you like the video, kindly like, subscribe and share. Thank you, friends.